Welcome to the Villa Pride Down Under podcast, an Aston Villa supporters podcast brought to you from all corners of Australia. Tonight it's just myself and Ryno. Tess has the in-laws up, so he'll be back Wednesday after the Bruges game. So just the Irishman and the Welshman today. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. A bit better than I was midweek, so I'm glad I'm jumping on tonight, and I didn't get on in midweek because that was very, very disappointing. I'm glad you boys covered that one for us.
Ryno, before we start to discuss the Cardiff game, I think it's a good little segue in. There was your mother met a certain person, started plugging the podcast the other day. Do you want to maybe tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, she did. So Prince William and Kate were in my town, Pontypridd in Wales. So my mum rocked up in a Villa shirt, and she managed to grab a few minutes with him, with Prince William, was talking to him about the Villa game against Palace, and she plugged the pod, which is nice of her. She did forget to drop the name of the pod, so I'll have to have a word with her. But I will post it on a photo. She had a great photo with Prince William in her Villa shirt, and yeah, she got a couple of minutes talking to him, and by all accounts, he's a really nice guy. And yeah, he was just as gutted as what we were with the Palace result. So yeah, I'll get that. I'll get the photo up on our socials and the brief sound clip of her dropping the pod in there as well.
It's very funny as well because Prince William is saying that he watches he watches a podcast and he had to do it to get over his anger after the Palace game, and his wife was saying he had it on last night up on YouTube or whatever. So it'll be interesting to know what podcast he's into. But yeah, so it's
he's one of us, isn't he? He's the same as us. Like he takes the losses as badly as what we do, and yeah, he's riding the waves with us, which is good to know.
So that's hilarious. So Ryno will get that out on our socials there maybe over the weekend, and for anyone that wants to have a look at it, but it's hilarious. Big strong accent in a Villa jersey, plugging an Australian podcast. Ryno, the draw obviously for you would have kind of meant something. Obviously, Cardiff being probably the closest town to you. And you've been to a few Villa and Cardiff games growing up. I've no doubt you probably went. We've got a lot of friends who are Cardiff and fans and stuff. So do you want to kind of talk to us just briefly about your connection with Cardiff and Villa and stuff?
Yeah, it's a massive, massive draw for me. Cardiff's ground is about 20 minutes away from where I grew up in Wales, Pontypridd. So Cardiff's not very far, and it's the closest football club to where I live. I've been to a few Villa Cardiff games, sat in the away end in the Cardiff, in Cardiff City Stadium. Couple of losses down there when Neil Warnock was in charge and Steve Bruce was in charge for us. So not great memories, but yeah, a lot of friends, a lot of people that I know from school, and everyone back home are obviously big Cardiff City fans. So yeah, when the draw came out, I was loving it. And I said, to be fair, it's a good draw for us, isn't it? Home against a championship team, whereas a lot of other Premier League teams have been drawn against each other. So yeah, it's one. Yeah, it's one that's close to me, obviously Cardiff City, but yeah, just happy for us to get a win in the end and get back into the quarterfinals for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, it's phenomenal how bad we've been in this competition. Now I know there's a lot of factors because the last time we got to this round, we actually got to the final, which was 2015. We took an awful hiding in the final against Arsenal, but that was an extremely good Arsenal side, and we were not really a great side at the time, but we had some good memories on the way to that cup final. The semi-final win over Liverpool is something that is a game that I'll always remember. Like I think it was Fabian Delph and Christian Benteke got the goals. Definitely Benteke anyway. But and look, it was amazing. It was there was a year before we got relegated, and it was it was kind of, so it wasn't the strongest team we had, but it was a great ride to the FA Cup. And if you had told me then that we wouldn't see the 5th or 6th round again for another 10 years, I would have thought you're crazy. But looking back now and seeing where we are now and to that team and how bad we had gone after that, it is pretty amazing that it's been 10 years since we were this deep in the competition, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. And, last time we won it was 1957. So it's been a long, long time. And we are well overdue, I think, for an FA Cup win. And hopefully this is our year. I would, I'm looking forward to the draw. Let's say that. So the draw will be Monday for us. So the last games around be Sunday. So we'll probably find out early hours Monday who we've gone the next round. And yeah, excited now, getting quarterfinals and real chance, isn't it, to sort of push on in this competition. Now, there's still some really good teams left in there, but again, a Europa League place and some silver, which is the more important thing, is at stake. So yeah, I was happy to see us go strong with the lineup for this one.
Yeah, it's I mean, there is obviously a lot of factors over the years of why we didn't qualify, because we're obviously fighting relegation for a couple of years. So 1 or 2 of those years, and that was kind of obviously a priority. Then we went down to the championship, and the priority was obviously to get promoted. So we were 3 seasons down there. Then we came up and we were trying to stay in the league, so we couldn't prioritize the cup then. And then we were battling for Europe, so we couldn't really prioritize it then either. We just unfortunately just didn't have the squads. That's just where we were as a team. We had to kind of focus on one big challenge each time for the last decade. So that alone kind of shows the growth of the club over the last period, where we can get into a lineup like that. And, like we're going from being put out by Stevenage 2 years ago to lining up with the likes of Rashford and Asensio up top. I think it's a massive turnaround, and it just shows, like, when the owners took over the club and they put this 5-year plan in place to get to Europe and stuff, like, they weren't messing around, Like, a lot of owners spout a lot of stuff, and we're very lucky that we had owners who are trying to put their money where they're out there. They want to put their money where their mouth is, even more than they're being allowed to. That's the crazy thing. But the trajectory of the club, and I think it's always very important to remember that too, because it's sometimes it does get forgotten in some of the bad results of how far we actually really have come. And well, when you hear stats that we haven't been to this round in 10 years, you're thinking, that's Aston Villa. Like, how have we not got this far? Like, growing up watching us in FA Cup finals and Coca-Cola Cup finals and stuff. So it's but we did get to kind of get an idea that Emery is starting to take this competition serious, whether that's albeit he wants a trophy, or maybe he's losing a little bit of faith in where we're going to finish in the league, and he sees this as an opportunity to guarantee Europe League spot if the Champions League is missed out on. Were you anyway surprised at the lineup? Was there anything that kind of caught you off there?
No, not really. Expected changes after the Palace game. Had to be changes. We are still short on bodies, so we've still got a few injuries. Disasi was cup-tied, Mings is still out, midfield is still decimated for me. So, I was happy to see Asensio and Rashford start. They had to start. I would have loved to have seen Doniel Marlin start this one as well, but obviously I think he was sick in the week. The reports were, I think this would have been.
I think he would have started ahead of Watkins, would he? Like, if had he been not been ill, I think.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think it would have been a really good game for him. And it turns out Ollie Watkins did have quite a few chances through the game, so it would have been a good game for Marlon to get into and get a couple of goals under his belt. But yeah, other than that, it was nice to see Kamara back on the bench. I think that's a massive positive coming up now with the Champions League games and a bit of a break league-wise. Only one game in March, but it's good to see him back. But yeah, glad to see Asensio and Rashford start. For me, with the form they're in the short time they've been there, already proven to be, really important players for us.
Yeah, it's they're giving us moments, aren't they? Like, they haven't been particularly outstanding from the first whistle to the last that they played, but they're top level players who are decisive in the moments. Like those 2 finishes from Asensio, like, I know we're not trying not to get too far ahead of myself, but quality finishes, just calm. Just class, really. And Rashford's starting to make a habit of these assists from that left wing run now, which is really good to see. Very similar type ball across the box as he's tried a couple of times in previous games as well. And yeah, so it's good. And Asensio seems to be reading Rashford's run as well. Bogard, I just want to touch off him. I was delighted to see him get his start, because I thought he deserved it, because he's been the hero without a cape the last few weeks, the unsung hero. I think, like, filling in left, right, and centre, helping everybody and performing every time he gets in there. Really, he got a bit of a wallop at the start for his position of right back, and fans kind of got down on him a little bit. But he was never a right back, and when he's playing in the holding midfield or even centre back now, where his duties are more defined, he's putting in some really good performances, isn't he?
Yep. Yeah, quality, and he has been, like you say, really valuable the last few weeks, just filling in positions where we've needed him. And you need players like that in the squad. Then you're going to get injuries and players missing. And I think he was great. And I think Garcia was too. I think, a young guy coming across from, the Spanish second division. Can't be easy relocating and then trying to settle into the Premier League, which is a completely different league, isn't it? And the physicality of the game. Even this is an FA Cup game, but the same thing. The pace of the game. I've been really pleased, and I thought those two worked really well against Cardiff. And yeah, we're going to need these guys now. So a lot of games coming up, and we've still got quite a few people out injured, and I don't know what the diagnosis was with Mings in the end. Has anyone, have you heard anything, mate? It's sort of been kept quiet, really, isn't it?
Yeah, because he was on the bench against Palace, but then he was back off the bench again. So maybe they just had to put him in there against Palace just as a number. Maybe maybe he wasn't even close with the prayer going on, because the way we're dropping like flies at the moment, they just probably do need to have Mings on the bench. So maybe he had a little breakdown in training or something. But it's been a bit quiet, and even Ross Barkley's injury is kind of Onana's injuries. They're very sus. It's been 2-3 weeks, and it's kind of Barkley's out for quite some time now. But that's just been the manner of it, isn't it? It's probably the worst time that we could have lost Onana and Barkley, because we've mentioned it many times. Youri Tielemans is playing minute to minute.
Yeah,
that kind of brings me on to my first point. Not that Tielemans was bad or anything last night, but he didn't look as assured as he has been the last few weeks. I think he genuinely did look knackered from the first whistle last night. He was mistiming passes. I wouldn't say misplacing them, but balls that he'd usually play with his eyes closed, he was misplacing them and stuff. And he just looked like a man who needs a couple of minutes, needs a bit of time on the bench, but they just can't give it to him. So I thought maybe with Kamara on the bench that they would have maybe given Kamara 10 or 15 minutes at the end just to give Tielemans a rest. But maybe Kamara is not close enough that they want to risk him either, and because he's going to be big and important for the next couple of games. Well, did you think Tielemans looked a little bit tired?
Yeah, he looked leggy, didn't he? And probably giving the ball away when you wouldn't expect him to give it away, and just not his usual self. He's like clockwork, isn't he, in the midfield? And not too many mistakes from him. I do think though John McGinn has been very good in recent weeks. So sitting in that midfield next to him, I think he does that role well. Tielemans is the creator, and McGinn is the guy just breaking things up there. I think it does help now. We've got some extra firepower and creativity with Asensio and Rashford. That sort of takes the heat off the likes of McGinn. He can sort of just play that role of just the guy breaking the ball up and recycling the ball for us. I think he's been excellent in recent weeks, and there was a few. You go back last season, and he played that position, and he played in that holding two, and he wasn't very good last season in that position, and then he was getting pushed out on the right, and you sort of think to yourself, is he ever going to find his way back in there with Kamara and Tielemans, and Dougie Luiz was there at one point. But I think he's honestly, the last few weeks I've been really impressed with him, and I just think we need him at the moment in there with Tielemans. And back to your point, Tielemans definitely needs a rest, but I can't see where it's going to come from. I don't know, Kamara coming back in, but then, Kamara and McGinn, could they play there in that position together? Yeah, against certain teams, but you definitely want Tielemans in there, though, don't you? That creator from deep, but he does look leggy and played a lot of minutes. Hopefully, Barkley's not too far off, but again, he's been out that long now, and there's been no word, so we'll just have to wait and see.
I thought this would be the game Tielemans to get a rest, because there's no way they're going to rest him against Bruges, or Brentford, and then I suppose he gets a bit of a break for a while after the 2 Bruges games, I suppose. But that's still 3 games to play before that happens. But even this Friday to Tuesday is now a break, for them, because they've played so many games in the last few weeks. It is a genuine 3 or 4 day stretch for them. So yeah, no, I don't see him getting rested anytime soon. But hopefully, just as you say, with Kamara coming back in and Barkley probably hopefully on the way, that might give him a few minutes. I think he probably would have been rested in this game had the Sassy not been cup tied. I think Emery was kind of hamstrung on what he could do, because maybe if the Sassy or Mings was available, then you could have played Bogart in there with McGinn and given Tielemans that rest. But he's just lacking so much options at the moment in the middle and in the defence. He doesn't really have a choice. It's it's kind of it's tricky. But Tielemans is a fit boy. He's even on his quieter games, he was still a good 6 or 7 last night. He's just so consistent.
Yeah, and he was, like you say, he was still. I think for the second goal, I think he pops the ball, first or second? Sorry, the first goal, sorry. Pops the ball over the top, lovely ball over the top to Rashford. And, he is dangerous though, isn't he? And even in his 6 or 7, like you say, he's still a cut above a lot of other players out there. And yeah, just mindful that when you're racking up these minutes is when you start to see injuries. So, let's see what the next month holds now. A couple of games, like you say, quick succession, and then hopefully they get a bit of a break.
2 very, very good goals from a very, very good player. I thought he was very good throughout the 90 minutes, to be honest. Asensio, I think it's probably the most complete performance from him. I wouldn't say he was brilliant, but he had some classy moves, and he's just so comfortable on the ball. There was one touch he took out of the air, like it was just unbelievable. Yeah, just silky, it's lovely to watch. Like, I've seen people were getting a bit antsy, getting a bit worried at nil all. I wasn't at all really. Like, I mean, I think Cardiff came and played exactly as I was expecting Cardiff to come. And I think people forget sometimes that there's 2 teams on the pitch. Like, just because we should beat them, like, it takes a while to break these teams down. If we'd scored a bit earlier, I think we would have went on and won the game comfortably. But the Cardiff defended well. Like, they did what they had to do. They stifled us. But Villa stayed patient. They stayed professional, and they just kept plugging away. And goal eventually came. So yeah. I mean,
we were making plenty of chances when and like you say, Cardiff came with a plan, out of possession, 5-3-1. There was bodies back there. They just overloaded us, and they knew we had quality to hurt them, so they just put bodies back there. Like you say, I expected Cardiff to do that and try to hit us on the break, and they nearly did a couple of times, but we looked really comfortable. I thought we dealt with them as well as what we could have. But for me, Rashford and Asensio, they were the difference in both halves for me. If something was going to happen, it was from those 2. We created enough chances. At half-time, I was thinking to myself, we should be 1-0, 2-0 up by now. We've been we're just not clinical enough, are we, in games like this? And I think it's kind of the story of our season, making good chances or half chances, but not quite sticking them away. I was the same as you. I wasn't worried though. I thought second half we're going to step it up a bit. We've got reinforcements on the bench. We didn't use them at halftime, but yeah, I was confident that we were going to get the goal. We just had to keep plugging away. We were going to make something. Rashford was dangerous. Every time he got the ball, he looked like something was going to happen. Bailey on the other side, frustrating night for me, for Bailey. I thought it was one of them games where he could have got into it. He showed some nice flashes, but again, probably
the effort was there. The effort was there as well, to be fair to him. The effort was there. He looked interested, but it was, as you said, the end product just, it's like, I remember when we played against Brentford and he played on the left, like the game after Steven Gerrard, and I know Emery does like forget about Rashford for 1 second, but I know Emery always likes to play a right footer or a left footer on the right, okay?
Yeah.
Because cutting in, so you get your outside width, right? Yeah, that's grand. But some of Bailey's best performance has come on the left, because he is predictable, there's no doubt in that. He must be easy enough to defend. Yeah, he's got pace, he's got close control. But you're just, as all defenders, they just have to hold back and wait for him to cut in, because he's going to cut in at some point. And yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't have. I wouldn't
mind seeing him out on the left again. Just change it up.
Just beating lads and whipping in crosses. He can do it. We've seen him do it. There was again that game where we beat Brentford 4-0. I remember he took a ball off. He kept the ball in. It was going up for a throw, and he kept it in. And he went up the wing, and it was a lovely little 1-2. He played in the middle, and then he crossed a lovely ball for Ollie Watkins. It was a great goal. I think that might have been the 4th goal in that Brentford game. And and then Emery obviously came in, and we didn't see him playing the left ever again. I'm not saying that's the best position or whatever, but he has the pace, he has the left foot, just to beat the man. He just can't seem to beat the men on the right side. It's really
like you said, it's predictable, isn't it? If he cuts in on his left, the defenders know, and if he goes on to his right, he made a good chance for Rashford in the first half.
There was a great ball in as well. Yeah.
He actually went in on his right, and I think that caught Cardiff by surprise. It caught everyone by surprise, even Rashford, I think. And he blazed
even Bailey. Not Bailey by surprise.
But, that's kind of what you want from him, isn't it? Like you say, is beating the man, getting out wide and getting the ball in the box and cutting in all the time, sort of crowds of space. And just cramps everything up a little bit. So I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of a swap, maybe drop him over onto the left at some point. But yeah, typical of what we've been seeing of Bailey lately. The effort's there, but just that final ball wasn't quite there. Were you expecting any changes at halftime, mate? Given it was 0-0, did you think he was going to rotate or try and change it up a little bit?
Not at half time, but I thought the changes might come a little bit earlier. I thought we'd be getting Rodgers on a bit sooner because we were lacking a ball carrier. They were sitting so deep just as someone to take it up the pitch. But Villa seemed happy enough to tap it around and entice them out when they could, because very different to the Ipswich game. Like when we were playing against Ipswich at the low block, I was worried about that game as the game progressed. We were saying we weren't really worried at half time because I knew they had some kind of threat on the break, the lap and Omari Hutchinson, even Philogene obviously didn't come on, but I knew they had the option of bringing them on, and I just didn't find Cardiff had anything to hurt us with, and that's the honest truth. That's no disrespect to Cardiff, and like obviously the way they came, they probably didn't too. I think if you had secretly asked the manager to have start of the game or half time, would you take penalties? No, he would have grabbed your hand off. I think he came with that mentality. If we can nick one from a set piece, great. But they didn't particularly, even the way they set up, like they didn't particularly break hard, fast or anything. It wasn't like the set game plan where but I think it was there. If we can nick something, we'll nick something. So that's why I wasn't so worried. I think Ipswich off for that shot. I didn't feel like the more we opened up, the more susceptible we'll come to their counters or anything. I wasn't really worried about that. I was more worried about, the only thing that was worrying me is it going to be one of those days where we just can't find the net, That was probably the only concern of mine. We've had a few of them, but after that, I wasn't really too worried about it. And I thought overall, it was a pretty accomplished performance. We didn't use up too much energy. Thankfully, no injuries, even though Ezri Konsa, I thought his ACL was gone there for a moment. He was lying on the ground. Like, he looked in serious pain. Like, so I was just thinking, this is just typical. Like, but thankfully he got back up. But no, I didn't really expect changes too early. I thought maybe Morgan Rogers might come in pretty soon after halftime when things weren't breaking down. But no, I think it was as I would have expected. Maybe Bailey could have come off. I thought maybe Bailey would come off and Rogers would go on, to be honest. That was kind of the change I was expecting. But not at halftime. I thought it might be a bit sooner than it was, though. How about yourself? Did you think you'd change it at halftime? Or?
Not at halftime. Same as you. I thought maybe 60-odd minutes he might make the change. I thought maybe, like you say, Bailey would probably be the one who comes off. Rogers coming on. But yeah, I was surprised he did wait so long, and it sort of worked out in the end anyway, didn't it? We got the first goal, and then, we just waited. They didn't come on till the 82nd minute. I think the subs came on, the 4 subs.
Yeah.
But, and I just, one of the subs, Jimmo, I thought he had a really good little cameo coming on there, and just
nice to see him getting a run in there. He's been sitting on the bench for the last few weeks. It was nice to see him getting a run. He had one lovely little tread through brawl there for Ramsey.
Yeah. I just thought his movement. He just looks like a classy forward, doesn't he? And he looks comfortable on the ball. And yeah, I was really happy to see him get some minutes. And yeah, it was a really good threaded ball to Ramsey. And then we should have finished that one off. But yeah, nice to see a cameo from him. I don't know how much minutes he'll get from year on in, but it'd be nice to have him floating around the team and another option to Watkins. I know once Marlon comes back in, it probably stifles him a little bit, but it'd be good to sort of see some little cameos from him. He looks a good player, and he's quite highly rated from what I've read. So yeah, loved seeing him getting some minutes. The other guys, like you say, Ramsey, Rogers, not really surprised to see those guys, and Luca Dean come on. Good to see Luca Dean switch it up with Maatsen as well. Let Maatsen have the majority of the game and Luca Dean sort of come on late on, because I think Luca Dean will be used Bruges away in the week. I think they're probably saving him for that one.
Yeah, I think Maatsen, you were the one who called it a couple of weeks ago that you would expect to see Maatsen start to get bigger blocks of minutes now, and it's starting to happen. And it's not because Luca Dean's injured or anything, but they're obviously getting later in the season, resting Dean, but also for the fact he probably needs Maatsen to get a little bit sharper too from a defensive point of view in case Dean does get injured, And they're two very different fullbacks as well, so it's important to move more up the speed,
I just think as well, Luca Dean's form's been really good, and I think it's dropped off a little bit. I still think he's been, fantastic this season. But I think, his threat going forward probably isn't as much as what Unai Emery wants on that left-hand side. So that's why I sort of called that I thought Maatsen would start getting more time. I think they do want to see a bit more threat on there. And then on the other side, mate, what did you think of Garcia?
Thought Garcia was good. I think there was one or two times his final ball could probably be worked on a little bit, I think, but that'll come naturally. I think massive prospect though. I mean, it's been some start. Like, there's no way he was expecting to play as much as he has already. So that's a huge bonus from him that he could settle in so quickly. And I think he's only going to get better and better. I like all his attributes. Like, he can get up and down the wing. He doesn't, if he makes a mistake too, he doesn't go hiding. He's looking for the ball again. He knows what his job is. And yeah, I enjoy watching him. He's like, it's nice to see a reliable right back. Whereas if Cash is out, we don't have to keep pulling Konza across or whatever, you know. We ended up wrapping it up and it was 2-0, comfortable in the end, I think. I don't think there was no point that I felt we were hanging on at the end or anything. I think once the first goal went in, I didn't really see a way back from Cardiff, and that's not being disrespectful. So we're in the hat. Some big games this weekend. Newcastle and Brighton is obviously probably the juiciest because that's one of two really good teams. Another really good team that's going to be out, Man City away at Plymouth. If Plymouth were to knock Man City out after knocking Liverpool out, it would surely be the greatest FA Cup streak in history. And let's hope Millwall knock Crystal Palace out, because I don't really want to face them, because let's be honest, that's what's going to happen next, isn't it? Sellers Park next round.
They've got our number as well, haven't they? So it's going to be it's a couple of interesting ties there. You've got to beat everyone though to get there, haven't you? So hopefully the draw's kind. We've been, reasonably lucky so far with the draw, but we'll see what happens. But you're right, Newcastle Brighton's probably the game of the round, isn't it? Really, two teams who are in form and two very good attacking teams there. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Yeah,
that'll be a good game, and United Fulham are playing as well. And I think there was a good few all Premier League ties. So the whole FA Cup has fallen nicely for us for a change, Two obviously tough home games to start with, but I'll take a home tie against anyone. It's the away ties I'd be a bit worried about, like, going forward. But no, I think Emery's going to put a lot of effort in these FA Cups, because now the games start getting spread out and the opportunities will be there, And obviously with no extra time or no replays, it's straight to extra time penalties. That's obviously a good thing as well, so you're not racking up extra games and stuff. So no, it's that's the FA Cup, and we'll put that to bed till the quarter final or till Monday night, at least till we get the draw. But we have to move on to Tuesday to a different matter altogether. Something that I didn't think we'd be talking about for quite some time, but the chance to get to another quarter final, but this time it's in the top table, Europe's elite competition. And again, no disrespect to Club Brugge, but of all the draws we could have got, there's no easy game at this round, at this stage of the tournament. But the draw has been kind to us, really, like when you look at it for this round anyway. What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, one of our poorest, I would say, probably poorest attacking performance of the season came against Club Brugge. In the away leg, but I think this will be a completely different game. How do you see it going?
Yeah, same as you, Matt. I think it'll be completely different to the last time out. And the first leg's away, is it? Yeah,
first leg's away.
And I think that suits us, doesn't it, really, with our home form? I'd rather get the away leg done and dusted first. No easy games in Champions League, but I think this is a really good draw and a really good opportunity for us now, isn't it, to get into the quarterfinals? First game away. Nothing stupid, no picking the ball up in your own box or anything like that. Let's keep it. Let's keep it tight and get back to Villa Park. Then they'll be dangerous though, and they'll fancy themselves at home. But with the players we've got now, and the form that we carry as well, we shouldn't fear anyone. And I fancy us to, over two legs. I do fancy us against Club Brugge, and looking forward to it now.
We do have to turn up though, because I watched their game against Atalanta, and Atalanta are a good side, man. They're one of the ones I was hoping to avoid, because out of the four teams that we could have got, Dortmund, Atalanta, Sporting Lisbon, and Club Brugge, Atalanta were the ones I wanted to avoid. I've watched a lot of them. I watched them their run to the Europa League final last year where they won it. They beat Bayer Leverkusen comfortably in the final, and they're a good side, man.
Yeah.
So that was a huge win for Club Brugge. They ran United or Man City close. They nearly knocked Man City out of the competition only for a second half spree at the Etihad for Man City. And yeah, they've beaten us as well, albeit by, as you say, a bit of a dubious, silly handball from Mings, which kind of worked in our favour in the end because it stopped us from playing Madrid or in the Bayern Munich in this round. But the way things are going though, like we're not playing well enough to take any game for granted. That's the unfortunate scenario. And here's Paddy Kelly, 1 win away from Wembley. That's right, Paddy. I said to Paddy a couple of days ago there in a private text. I was checking the flight prices from Perth to London for the 17th of May for the FA Cup final, and I was kind of messing around with that, and I was looking at Munich as well, and I think the moment, like, Wembley's probably looking the more realistic, and I was saying to Paddy, she'll probably kill me, but you know what? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So so I think one more win, and I think I might be pre-booking flights for London. Yeah, and I'll let her know the day before I fly. There's one issue I think we have at the moment. Going into Tuesday is obviously there's been no sign of Matty Cash for the last couple of games, which is a worry because Garcia is not registered for the Champions League.
No.
So no. Does that mean Kamara comes in, plays alongside Disasi, and Kanza moves to right back, or does it mean Kamara comes in, plays alongside Kanza, and Disasi moves to right back? I would imagine it would be Disasi would be moved to right back. Personally, I think Kanza would be kept as the centre half. But what do you reckon would be the answer? That's if Kamara is fit. But I imagine that's why he didn't come on in this game, just not to risk him.
I think they might go. Well, if it was me, I'd probably go the other way and probably go Konza right back, just because he's played there for us. Quite recently, Disasi's new to the club. Maybe keep him at centre back, but yeah, I think that's going to have to be the way. One of them's going to have to shift over there. Kamara back into centre back, and like you say, we have to leave Tielemans and McGinn start in the middle. It's a bit of a conundrum now, isn't it? Because leaving Garcia out and Marlon out, I'd have to go Konza right back for me. Disasi centre back with Kamara, and then see how we go. But how long's Cash out for? What's the latest on Cash?
That's one of the other. That's one for the Secret Service. No one seems to know what's going on with them either. It's madness. But I like that they're keeping everything close to their chest too. Like they're not letting things out. So keep other teams guessing, But no, there doesn't seem to be any kind of word on what's actually wrong with him. Just that he's injured. So maybe he will be back. Maybe they're just not risking him. But it's funny though, isn't it? Like when the big conversation came about who would be left out of the Champions League squad. Like, no disrespect to Malin. Like at the time, everybody would have said Malin would be the bigger loss than Garcia. But looking at who's available for us now, Garcia seems to be more of a loss than Malin because we have cover for Malin. Like we have Asensio, Rogers. There's plenty of cover in the front line. We probably need Garcia more now than we do Malin. It's strange how it kind of worked out, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is a spot on as well. We're covered. Like you said, it's probably the strongest front line we've had in a long time, isn't it? With the players we've got, it's an embarrassment of riches for us. But yeah, the Garcia one, that is an interesting one of how we set up now, because with a centre back going out to right back, if it's Konza, we know he's not going to get forward. So then who plays on the right in front of Konza? Then, does Rogers drift out to the right and you put Asensio 10 and Rashford on the left? Obviously, Watkins starts. There's not much choice there. So, that's probably how I'd see it, to be honest with you. What do you think, mate?
Do you think, right, like, the way that he switched formation kind of out of the blue against Palace? and nobody was really expecting it. And he said afterwards to match up with Palace front three. Do you think there's any possibility that he tried that with the away ties in Champions League in mind, as in trying a new system that and fit the three of them in at the back centre half? That's obviously before Mings got injured. So do you think he may have possibly had in the mind that he was going to go three at the back away from home in the Champions League?
Possible. Like you say, you've got the players there to go three at the back, haven't you? Really, and the way our wing.
It didn't work though, did it?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. And we were talking before when the lineup came out, and I think everyone was quite surprised when they with the lineup for Palace. I think it was, out of the blue. But I think that three at the back now, with Mings being out, and then obviously Cash was sort of a bit too short there for me. I think we just have to stick with the back four. I think that's probably the safest option. And I don't like the idea of sort of trying to chop and change it too much and disrupt too much. So I'd be going back four and just pushing Concert right back. Luca Dean probably comes in at left back, you think?
Yeah, and thankfully Martinez started against Cardiff. So if he's playing against Cardiff, I thought he might be kept back last night for Olsen just with the Champions League coming up. So it was great to see him in goal as well. So now we don't have to back against Villa -3 every time Olsen comes and goes. So no offense to Olsen, but yeah. So that was a really good boost to see Martinez back in goal straight away from whatever that injury was that he had. So for me, you're probably looking at Martinez in goal. You're looking at Luca Dean left back. I'm going to probably say it's going to be Kamara, Kanza, centre back, and Disasi right back, if I'm honest. I think he'll keep, because there's so much disruption to that back line now. Yeah. I imagine he'll want to play Kanza centre back would be my guess. He's going to be Tielemans, McGinn in midfield. And then, you just got to go with your biggest threats now. For me, the front four has to be Rodgers, Asensio, Rashford, and Watkins. That's what he's going to have to go now. It's unfortunate for Ramsey. There's still a place for Ramsey, but I don't think he starts in this team at the moment, solely because I don't think he offers the goal threat of the others. And we have to score goals because we're susceptible to goals at the back at the moment. We have to score goals. And I think his little project of resting Asensio and Rashford needs to finish now. I think there's enough time off coming in March where we need to release them now and just see what they can do. He can change them during the game, no problem, but they need to start now till they play themselves out of form, because he can't keep doing this where they play themselves into form in Chelsea. Everyone's expecting him to start and then pull him out. I think that Palace game has kind of taken that privilege away from us now. I think he just needs to go for it in every game. We're not really we don't have enough stability at the back to fight out results like we did against Bayern Munich. We won't be able to do that again. I think we have to go out and fight fire now in every game, and that's how I see it. Because I think if we try and go on,
mate, couldn't agree more. You've got to start them. You've got to start both of those guys.
You have match winners there. I don't think at the moment we can go over to Bruges and think, right, we'll play for a job, bring them back home and beat them, because we're too susceptible to set pieces or crossfield goals, and before you know it, the tie could be out of reach. So he needs to go over and try and score over there. That's what I think. I don't think this plan is, but whether he will or not, I don't know.
Well, our best 11 has Rashford and Asensio in there, doesn't he?
At the moment, and Rodgers.
Yeah, I just can't see. I'm with you. I can't see why you'd want to not start him. Why would you drop him? And I think the Palace one was you dropped the ball, and I don't think you'd be doing that again. I think from year on in, I think he plays his best players, and Rashford and Asensio are probably the most experienced Champions League players we've got in that team. So, they've been in this competition, been deep in the competition, won the competition. You've got to play that experience, haven't you? And I agree, Ramsey's been decent the last few weeks, but they're different level, these two players. And it was, evident against Chelsea and Cardiff. These are the two that are going to make something happen. Like you said, they drift in and out of games, but they've got that quality then to just hurt teams. And you have to play them. Same as Rodgers. He's the same thing. For me, it'd be good to see Daniel Marlon back, but again, misses Champions League now, doesn't he? So you'd think he's going to get more game, he'll probably come in for the Brentford game. But got to start Rashford and Asensio for me.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Bailey played 90 minutes, that kind of tells me he's probably not going to start Tuesday night, to be honest. I think that was a little bit tenfold. Keep him some way sharp in case, because he's still useful, Bailey, late on in games. So, but I think the fact that he stayed on the pitch for the 90 minutes when he was blowing hot and cold kind of says to me that I don't think we'll see him start Tuesday. But I've thought this about Bailey many times, and there he is in that starting 11 when I don't expect him to be. But so we'll see. But big game. I mean, massive. I don't think we can really go out and sit in our laurels here. Like, this is a big chance for us to get into a Champions League quarter final, and we have to go out and try and grab the chance, not kind of feed ourselves into the tide, because I think Bruges are good enough that if we don't set up properly and attack them, they can score. You know, they can. They've shown that against Atalanta. So yeah, I think go and take the game to them and use your best threats on the pitch. Give them something to think about. You know.
Yeah, they'll fancy it at home, won't they? They're going to go for it. So for us, defensively, we've got to be sharp, and like you said, probably hasn't been our strong point this season defensively, but we've got the attacking threats there now to be able to score. I just don't want to go there. And we've seen it in the past of when you go away in Europe and you can be 2-3-0 down after the first leg and you've got it all to do. So I'm mindful of that, and there will be a bit of pressure over there. But we've got the players in there now. We've got a lot of experience in this team. We've got enough quality there to get through this tie.
Yeah, and let's have it right too. We're sitting here saying, you know, it's a good draw for us. The Club Bruges fans will be thinking the exact same thing, like, you know, this is a good draw for us, you know, like of all who we could got. So, you know, like, so it's they're going to come with a bit of a confidence and swagger. They expect the atmosphere to both games to be absolutely class. I know Paddy's down to comment. Paddy got his ticket for the Bruges at home. They're looking a bit jealous that Paddy's off over to that game, so that's a nice one for him. But Tess, our old Tess is in the comments, mate. Tess said, let's go Villa. Bogard did pretty good. We did touch on that earlier. Tess, Bogard was pretty good, and I hope to see him get plenty of game time between now and the end of the season, because he deserves it where he's kind of filled in. What do you expect to happen Tuesday night? Roughly, what would you? Do you think a draw is good enough? Would you be happy with a draw coming back to Villa Park?
I would. I'd take the draw, mate. If you offered it to me now, I'd take the draw away. And then with our home form and Villa Park rocking, I just think we'll be strong at home. Tough, always tough away in Europe though, isn't it? And I do worry about us sometimes. And we've seen in recent weeks, like, you go away to Palace, you go away to these grounds, tough places to go and win, and we haven't really shown this season, have we, a lot of ticker, for a better word, when we go to these places to get the win. So I just want to see a big improvement on, Palace away, Wolves away, Ipswich away, these games where teams make it tough for you, play the low block. I want us to be smart, I want us to be sensible, but I want us to, break them down and just be defensively solid. That's something we've really got to get. We've got to tighten up now before now and the end of the season. Like, we can't be shipping goals like we have been. We can't be giving teams, 2-3-0 starts, So, I think it'll be tough, but I think the loss against Palace and the way that we lost against Palace, I think, it's probably been a bit going on behind closed doors, and I'm hoping to see a reaction now in the next few weeks. And I think we will. I think the break will do us good, and you can't underestimate as well. This squad has been ravaged by injuries. There's a lot of players out. There's a lot to come back. So I think take the draw for me, keep it tight, and then take it to Villa Park.
Yeah, I think we're gonna win this game 2-1. We will concede. I have no doubt about that, man. We'll probably concede first. Probably concede in the first 5 minutes. But it's we've got goals in this team though. Like, to be fair to them, they're always good for a goal. Even when we're playing as bad as we were against Palace, we pull a goal out of nowhere. Like, there's goal scorers in the team, and that's why I'm kind of confident enough. Like, it would be nice to go over to Bruges and take a win, but you'd have to take a draw. I'd take a draw. I just don't want us to go over and play for a draw, if you get me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if we draw trying to win the game, I'd be happy enough, because I'd fancy us against anyone at Villa Park, to be honest. And that's the honest truth. But I don't think we're stable enough to go play for a draw at the moment. But if we go to win the time we take a draw, I'd be happy enough with that. So is there anything else you'd like to throw out there before we wrap up, man?
No, that's it for me, mate. I'm like you say, excited to be in this stage of the Champions League. Looking forward to the cup draw Monday morning. We get up for work, so we'll see who we've got in the quarterfinals. And like you say, just ready now for the end of the season and just some massive games coming up. So I'm just excited.
Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but look, being a fan is all about the hope, isn't it? So if someone asked you now for the opponent to beat in the final of the FA Cup, which one would you choose? Of who's left?
Probably Newcastle. Just because I feel like there was a little bit of needle with Newcastle for the last few seasons, and I don't know. It'd be nice to beat Newcastle. We've sort of been in, neck and neck of when we, getting into Champions League and sort of competing with each other. And they've beaten us quite badly in a few games, so I wouldn't mind beating them in a final, to be honest with you. Would I fancy them in a final? If we got to a final and it was Newcastle, I'd probably be shitting myself. But I'd like Newcastle. If we could beat them in a final, that'd be good. What about you, mate?
Yeah, I think Newcastle would probably be the one for me. Newcastle or Man United, to be honest. Yeah. I think the Newcastle will probably be the one for me, simply because the club, I think, are kind of on similar trajectories at the moment. They've obviously got different kind of ownership to ourselves, anyway. Whatever. I think they talk about money and ownership of football. So they're very similar trajectory, but it's the one thing we have over them. Like, they haven't won a trophy for so long, much longer than us. Like, so they can't take that away from us. So, and I know they are desperate for a trophy as well. Their fans, and they'd probably become insufferable if they won a trophy, to be honest. So I think it's I think Newcastle Wembley take it. But to be honest with you, I'd be just as happy if it was Millwall. I just want to see us win something, man. It's gone on too long. I mean, I'm turning 40 this year, and I think I was 11 the last time I seen them win something. It's disgraceful. That was like 96. Yeah, I was 11. And like, it's funny because I got into football in 92, 93, and I've seen us win the Coca-Cola Cup final in 94. We beat Leeds in 96. And I was just like, that's what we do. We got to an FA Cup final in 2000. Then that was it. Nothing. Like, it's just been pain ever since. So I would take it. If you were offered right now an FA Cup final and finished 10th, an FA Cup, win the FA Cup, but you finished 10th, would you take it? Honestly,
yeah, 100%.
Would you?
Yeah, I'm massive for the Caps, and and it annoys me when people talk about the League Cup and sort of try and say that it's not important, but for me it is. You know what I mean? Same as you, mate. You grow up, you've only watched Villa lift 2 caps. I want more of those days. Like, I want to celebrate these days, and with other Villa fans, yourselves, and like my brother and old man and stuff. But yeah, I take that because FA Cup, silverware, Europa League, and 10th place. That'll do me nicely. What about you?
The way the season has gone, definitely I'd take it now, yeah, because I think I still think, like, as long as there's hope, I'll cling to that glimmer of hope. Like, and because we play everybody around us, I still think, I might be blind faith, but I still think there's a slight chance we can make the Champions League. I do, honestly. I think Emery's proven the past he can find a way, and he can get this team to go on a run. And if we hit a run now with the teams we have to play, they're all above us. Newcastle, Brentford, obviously, just below us. We've Brighton, we've Forest, Newcastle, Man City, all coming up over the next 6-7 games. Like, it's probably unrealistic, but if anyone can get us to go on a little run, it's Emery, So, but there is still a slight chance, and it's going to be top 5 now, obviously, with the coefficient. England is way out ahead in that. So I wouldn't completely rule out the Champions League. I think it's going to be extremely difficult, but I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't be completely shocked if we clipped in there. I just think it's unlikely now, which means we're probably going to finish 6th or 7th, which is the Europa League or the Conference anyway. So if someone offered me 10 to win the cup and get into the conference anyway, I'd be like, or into the Europa League anyway, 100%. And then you go into the Europa League next year, and sure, like you have Emery in charge, so you have a good chance of winning that straight away. Like, and that gets you back in the Champions League anyway. So it's yeah. Look, I don't want us to finish 10th, obviously. Like, don't pick me up wrong here, but if the only way Villa would win a cup this year would be that we finish 10th, and at this stage of the season, the way the season has gone, I would take it. At the start of the season, I was saying top 6 in the FA Cup. I would be really happy with it. But yeah, it's tight up there, though. It's tight up there, and any team around you that strings 3 or 4 wins together now are going to go shoot up the table.
I know, but that's the thing with us. Like, so many teams have been dropping points in and around there, haven't they? But we just haven't been able to capitalize at the right times. We're still in touching distance, like you said, but for me, the loss at Palace away, I don't know, I kind of drew a line on the Champions League with Ounce. I just feel like there's other teams probably playing a bit stronger than us, and long way to go though. So you never know, but that was a hard result to take, wasn't it, Palace? Especially after a good win against Chelsea, get yourself back in there, and then to lose like that was just a kick in the teeth. But you never know, mate. You never know. There's a lot of football to play. We've got to play everyone around us, like you said, and who knows? Yeah,
and it's the thing for me though is obviously I want the cup, but the caliber of players we recently started signing, that kind of stops if we don't make the Champions League. Which is kind of disappointing, you know. Rashford and Sancho really going to sign on full time next season if we're not in the Champions League. They might, like, if they genuinely found a home for themselves and believe in the project, you know. But it's unlikely if a Champions League team comes in for them, you know. But look, anyway, that's next season's problem. For now, anyway, we'll enjoy a good win and a trip into the quarterfinal finally of an FA Cup. We're playing a Champions League tie Tuesday, so we can't complain too much about it. And it's just an exciting time, isn't it? It's a busy few days coming up, like with Champions League Tuesday, a big game against Brentford Saturday, and then a big Champions League game, and we have a nice little break for ourselves then. And hopefully they come back rejuvenated for the running. And that's and of course all the teams around us are playing each other too. So it's not just us having to take points off everyone. There's going to be points lost along the way. It's just, can we turn around and capitalize on it? We'd just like to say a big thank you to everybody in the comments, everybody that's listening in live here. It's we really appreciate it. Michael Huggins has just joined us, and Paddy, who's always a great support to the pod, and of course our very own Tess. So and everyone else here, everyone else that's in here with us, we really, really do appreciate it. If it is your first time coming across us, jump on, hit the subscribe on YouTube, hit the follow on X for us. Again, it doesn't cost anything, but it actually does really help the podcast grow. Hit the like on the post on YouTube. All that kind of stuff helps us grow. And got some good guests lined up over the next couple of months. Obviously, great time to be doing Villa content and being involved in 3 competitions. And thanks very much. And just subscribe, like, and do all that nice stuff, and share and tell your friends. Ryno, have you anything to say before we go, Matt?
Nah, just up the Villa from me, mate.
Yeah, up the Villa.